and welcome to Real Estate Divas. I'm Jer'Leigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate and Real Estate Reformation.
And I'm Kristin Gerst with Capricorn Mortgage.
And we are going to be talking about, is your house still sitting on the market and why? The days on market have been escalating by leaps and bounds since everything's stalled out. So let's dive in.
All right, so a couple years ago, 2 years ago, really, 3 years ago, if you weren't the first dog at the bowl,
it's gone.
it's gone.
It's gone.
It was usually gone before it was even listed.
Yeah. It's nuts how quickly everything's changed. And what's so weird to me is that, you know, really and truly, it's not that, like, yes, the interest rates are up. Yeah, and there are indicators of why, but in such a short amount of time, you know, I mean, granted, what we saw 2 and 3 years ago, we've never seen.
Right.
I've been doing this 20 years. I've never seen that.
Seen it. Not like that.
Not like that. Now, this kind of plateau that I'm in right now, which I think is a little bit more normal, like this seems like a more normal cycle.
This seems like how it's been most of the time.
Most of the time I've been in real estate, and when it's not dipping.
Early mid-2000s, this is what it was like.
Yeah.
And this is what the interest rates were at.
Exactly.
So I think it's going to take maybe another 12 months for people to go, okay, so interest rates are normal. They're not double digits.
Yeah.
They're not ridiculous. We're not going back to 1978.
Yeah. We're not, nobody's at interest rates
18%.
At like a credit card interest rate,
Right.
you know. I mean, 7%, I get it. So you buy and then you refi later, or you buy it down a point or something, you know, but I mean, let's be realistic. But what has happened, like the flip of the switch and how quickly, like you and I have had many, many conversations about, no, I think it's going to take longer than that. And it was like overnight.
Yeah.
How quickly it hit. And usually we're a little bit more insulated in DFW. We see it on either coast first, you know, the East Coast or the West Coast, and then we see it come. Like there's a little bit more warning. And I think there was like, I don't know, 5 days warning. Like I was like, what just happened?
So what's the average house staying on the market now?
So now I'm saying average time on market, you're going to be about 60 days, you know, 40 to 60 days.
Before you get an offer.
Yeah, before you get an offer, before we're under contract, which used to be the norm. You know, that it's not crazy, but sellers haven't gotten their head around that yet. But in addition to what that means is also sellers haven't gotten their head around pricing that property correctly. So now we're dealing with, I'm telling you, it's probably not going to sell for another 40 to 60 days, but you still want to price it way up here because, well, we can always come down. That's worst tactic.
And it is the worst tactic because I said, well, you know, as an investor and as a buyer, a regular buyer, if I see something that's been on the market for 100 days, I smell blood in the water.
Everybody does. And that's something that it's hard to articulate. I mean, it's really not hard to articulate. It's hard for people to understand and absorb.
And they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to price it high. I might get it. And then I'll just decrease.
I'll just keep reducing. That also looks bad.
Right. Because now it looks like you're desperate.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that offer. And you could have if you just priced it right from the begin with.
Yes. So really what I'm trying to say is it comes down to price. Always, it's the price. So if you're wondering why your house is still sitting on the market, it's the price. And it's the price because of what is the state of that house. You know, if it is spectacular looking and move-in ready with all the best updates and it's priced right, you're going to get an offer like that. You are definitely going to get an offer immediately because there are still a ton of buyers out there.
Right.
It's not brain surgery. But
so you say the buyers are still there. For the last year, 2 years, I've been hearing, oh no, everything's fine. Mortgage brokers, realtors, they're like, no, it's not in a slump. It's not in a down market. It's not we're
It's
still
definitely plateaued. I don't, and even dipped a little bit. I think it's down, like, I think residential nationwide is down about 4%. And so now
But is that due to supply? Because that's always they're like, well, nobody wants to sell their house because
their interest
they've
rates
got
are
a
so
3% interest rate. So why would I sell this house? I don't want to do that.
And supply is low, but there are still people out there buying. Now, don't get me wrong, it has kind of gotten stagnant out there. But it's not, we're not crashing right now,
No.
is basically what I'm saying. But you have to be realistic when you're putting your house on the market. And like we were just talking about, did the research just for the DFW area. I did not go nationwide, but DFW, there's over 400 houses that have been on the market for over 150 days.
That is a long time.
In Dallas.
That's 5 months.
And then in Fort Worth, it's in the low threes. So that's
only in
lot.
Dallas, 400?
Yeah. That's a lot of houses that have been on the market for a long time. So what did I do? I start going down that rabbit hole looking at, okay, what do the reductions in these price points look like? And I'm going down, and the amount of homes that there has been zero reduction in price is astounding. Like they've
been on the market 5 months and they haven't reduced price at all.
Yep.
Because really, that's the only thing that's going to be the issue.
Yeah.
So does that mean that prices have come down?
Yeah, it's definitely come down a little, but really what we're seeing is you're just,
Are these sellers just greedy?
The sellers still have the anticipation or the thought process of 2 years ago, a year ago even, that, oh, I can get it. Or like we just talked about, I'll just stick it up there and, if I need to, I'm not desperate. If I need to, I'll reduce.
Yeah.
So Jer'Leigh, are you going to the Quest event?
Of course I'm going to the Quest event.
I love it every time it comes up. This is something no real estate investor should miss.
Absolutely.
I've heard there's people flying in from all over the country.
Well, they've got over 20,000 investors across the nation, and these people are not only coming to learn, but they're also bringing deals. So if you are not going to the Quest event, get your ticket now. They're 50% off.
That's correct. So
50% off.
You can do a regular admission for $225 right now with 50% off discount,
Or VIP.
$425.
And it's going to be at the Irving Convention Center on June 27th through 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
Be there. You'll see us there, and you're going to get so much knowledge. You're going to be on sensory overload. Well, I don't know when that need to ends up kicking in, but for a lot of these people, it hasn't kicked in at all. Like, it's ridiculous. And I don't know, a realtor can only do so much. I can only tell you so many times that you need to reduce the price of your home. And if you choose not to, I can't force you.
Right.
But I think there are less realtors articulating that from the get-go. When I go on a listing appointment, I say, all right, if we don't get any bites or any like real consideration within the first couple of weeks, we need to consider a reduction immediately. We do not want to keep doing this 6 months from now.
So how much do you typically go, all right, we need to reduce it? A percentage amount? Because
it's usually it's $5,000. The higher the priced home, then it's going to be more substantial. The lower the priced home, you can't always
2 or 3%.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So you definitely, I usually stay in that, just depending on their needs, wants, and what they're trying to get out of the property. But I usually do at least a $5,000 reduction within that 2 to 3 week price
Initial. So you list the property, it's on the market 2 weeks, you don't have really any bites, nothing.
If you get no showings, like that is the surefire sign. Like, are you
that
kidding
you are
me?
overpriced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you get zero look-sees, then there's an issue here.
Yeah.
So, and most of them that have been on the market for a long time are not only overpriced, but as you would imagine, like they're outdated,
or
maybe there's been no updates whatsoever, or maybe it looks hideous, whatever. But they're typically outdated. And I don't know how many times you and I have had this discussion, how many house tours we've done together, remodels that we've gone over, and we've discussed about how people in general, like the masses, cannot see through a bad color of paint. They don't have any vision to see the big picture.
They can't see past that sofa.
Yeah. So
That terrible
it's
sofa
really,
that you have in the living room.
So it's really important. That makes it even more important that if you don't have the updates, if your house is not in great shape, then
You need to stage it.
either stage it or you've got your price point needs to reflect that, because they are not going to have the imagination to figure it out.
Right.
So those are that. I mean, I was just floored by the amount of homes that have been on the market, because now once you're on the market over 60, 90 days, then wholesalers are getting a hold of you. Every investor, you've probably gotten mailers,
Yeah.
phone calls,
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, will you take this rock bottom price?" No, we're not desperate, but immediately that's what people think.
Right.
I
do. I'm like, okay, they've got to.
Yeah, you're like, they're ready for a deal.
right. Which it's funny that so many of them aren't.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the ones that there are certain agents out there, and I think maybe this might have happened one time, maybe twice, that somebody raised the price of the home in order to change the algorithm, make it look fresh on your search, and then got it under contract. I can't tell you, there were probably 50 homes in the Metroplex where agents have raised the price.
Gosh, this is crazy to me. How long had they been on the market?
They had been on the market over 150 days, and during that 150 days, they raised the price.
But 5 months, if anything, the market's softened and gone down in those 5 months.
Yeah.
It's not like we're having the crazy appreciation that we did.
No, you're not trying
3,
to
4 years ago.
recapture that appreciation. But I literally think that one person out, like somebody said, "Hey, this worked for me," and then it spread like wildfire. And there are agents out there that are like, "Oh, I'll just raise it $1, or I'll subtract $1, or I'll up it $5,000." It's ridiculous. I literally was like, "What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
What is going on here?" Anyway, it's wild.
So what's our supply? Like, how many months of supply do we have?
Our supply is down. That was not the research that I did, is how many months of supply. I just was looking at the
Days on market.
Days on market, mainly because of, one, looking for a deal, because that's what you do if it's been long days on market, but also trying to see, like, what have you done to
do, like,
to sell this home,
to get this house sold?
Yeah. And so that's one of those things that I think most people don't want to hear, is that it's the price, but it's the price. It's always the price.
Always the price. Nothing else.
I can't market it anymore. I can't do 15 more open houses. There was one house in particular that we did as the construction company. We did some remodel work so that it would be easier for them to sell the house, which is called novation for those of you that don't know. But novation is where you do the work in anticipation for the sale, and then the construction company gets paid at closing. So we did that on a property, and the homeowner would not reduce the price. Fired the initial agent.
Really?
Got rid of the agent that brought that to the construction company, and then hired somebody else and said, this one's going to be way more proactive. Well, I already knew that the last one had done 4 open houses, but there was no price reduction in 60 days. So then they relisted it, and still no price reduction. Finally, a price reduction after.
And it was under contract.
And then it went under contract. So now we'll finally get paid on that.
I mean, the house is a house. I mean, location, obviously, you can't change.
Yep.
But any type of house will sell. It always comes down to price, is what you're saying.
It always comes down to price. Or if you want more money for your home, you're going to have to put more money into it, which.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well just decrease the price.
Yeah. I mean, if you want out of it, most definitely. I mean, and that may not be helpful for a lot of people, but I really feel like this is more for the agents out there who are trying to sell these homes for their clients, is be realistic with your client and
Right.
like literally tell them like this is the timeline.
So if you are seeing that houses are appraising at say 400,000, are you saying list at 400,000? Or are you telling people, hey, let's list a little bit below 395?
It's based on how does your house
House
show?
show.
Yeah, how does your house
Does it have
show?
a weird, funky floor plan?
Yeah,
Does it-
yeah. Does it have one less bathroom than the rest of the community? You know, what is it like? Then let's make that judgment.
Right.
One of the tactics that I've used that was very effective for a home that wasn't in great shape. I had a listing not in great shape, and I knew because of certain cracks in the brick and in the mortar.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but I knew that, and there's like an underground spring underneath. I mean, there are all these things.
Love those.
So we went ahead and had a contractor bid put together for the updates, and also had a foundation company come out to the house and give us a bid, and left those at the house for anybody that wanted to come and see it, because
smart.
since most buyers have no idea what the price for these type of things are, then you automatically think that it's going to be $50,000. This is going to be $50,000.
Right.
And literally the foundation company was like, we'd put in maybe 3 piers, but really and truly, we probably wouldn't put in anything because it's a drainage problem,
Yeah.
not a foundation problem. So, I mean, but we had it there and it was transparent for anybody to look at. And so they didn't think they were taking on a lemon.
So do you see days on market getting worse?
Yeah, I mean, if the interest rates stay the same, then yeah, you know,
Which
or
I believe
if
they
go
are.
up.
I think they're going up.
If they go up, then most definitely. So then you're going to have to be more proactive about what you communicate to your sellers and how you present that property, and present solutions to those properties that are a little bit more troubled.
So as long as interest rates stay high, people need a lower point. And now buyers are kind of figuring out these houses are sitting there, so it's not like there's a bidding war going on over these.
And if you want that price point, maybe start getting a little more creative and offer a buy down on that interest rate. That would help the buyers substantially. So,
And by offer a buy down on the interest rate, what do you mean by that?
I mean, like a point, which is basically
1%.
1%, and so you do 1%, and instead of a 7% interest rate, then maybe they can get a 6% interest rate.
Are you suggesting that the seller is paying for that for the borrower?
Yeah, I am. Well, if they're trying to incentivize that buyer coming in.
And what's the cost of that usually?
Of buying that down? Well, buying that down, it's 1%.
It's 1%.
Yeah.
So the cost is 1%, and it buys down 1% of interest.
Correct.
So 1% of your loan. So
Correct.
if you're willing to put out an extra 4,000 or 5,000, you're saying, "Hey, we'll buy down your interest rate on your
That's
loan."
way more effective than
I
doing
would imagine.
a price reduction. So
Or multiple price reductions.
exactly. Exactly.
It sounds like that's the cheaper option to get out.
Yeah, yeah. It's just another way to incentivize those buyers to make that offer
That's
on that
great.
house. So anyway, I hope this was helpful with you guys, realtors especially, but also sellers that are having trouble with your houses, or you know yours isn't spectacular. So this hopefully will help. And then if y'all have any other tips that you'd like to share with us or the audience, be sure to drop those. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jer'Leigh Thompson.
And I'm Kristin Gerst.
And be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.